Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. Today's date, September 6th, 2021. My name is Bill, and I'm joined here today, as always, with Steve.
Yep.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
So it's been a while since I saw you last.
It's been a whole week, huh?
Whole week. Fastest week of my life.
Even did my laundry and found a new clean shirt.
Yeah, right?
Conveniently.
See, I just have this, like...
perfect timing. Eagles season starts next Sunday.
Yeah.
This coming Sunday. Eagles Falcons. Get ready for a disappointing season out there, folks. I'm ready.
I love your optimism with the Philadelphia sports teams. I mean, there really hasn't been anything to really celebrate the Philly sports teams for quite some time.
Yeah, the Super Bowl. But that's the thing about the Philly sports fan. You have like just enough hope to feel disappointed. Like I'm not a Detroit Lions fan every year. Like we suck anyway. Like this, I enjoy sports.
Yeah.
Like no, like they give us enough hope. Like the Phillies are just like in contention for, leading the division, and it's just enough to break your heart.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to win the World Series. Eagles do the same thing every year, and then last year was like the most miserable year, at least in my lifetime, and I'm ready for it again. I'm ready to get hurt every year.
See, I think that's why I never really got involved with sports or really like got into it at all. It's like the fact of knowing that you're going to be disappointed at some point or another.
Oh, I love it.
Like
that's
I know
the adrenaline of it all.
There's like one of those things. Like I know like doing music and podcasting. I know like if I'm disappointed, it's all because of me.
Yeah, not
because of someone's draft pick or
it's a tough battle. It's a love-hate relationship.
Dirty job. Someone's got to do it.
Absolutely.
So, have you encountered anything new or interesting this week or last week?
So, I had mentioned to you briefly at one point, Exodus dropping new music.
Yes.
The album they have coming out is called Persona Non Grata. I don't know why they try to get all like fancy with the terminology. The song I heard off is called The Beatings Will Continue.
Fucking A.
Yeah, it's typical Exodus, and this is where, again, I constantly reiterate the fact that I really enjoy music by bands that I've already been very accustomed to.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder nowadays to find a totally new artist that has a level of music that's so enjoyable. And even so many times, like most of these artists that I'm huge fans of, like even this new Exodus song, I'm not a huge fan of it. Exodus is very hit or miss with me. Like when they hit, like it's good. Like Bonded by Blood is such a fucking great album. And then they have several songs where it gets a little goofy and the vocals kind of like throw it off for me. But the only thing I will say is though, is a lot of these bands, when their lyrical content is like already been about political and things like that nature and current events and especially like the punk scene and things like that, we're always, sometimes it sounds like a little fucking corny.
Yeah.
If you look up the lyrics, particularly for the song "The Beatings Will Continue," you'll understand what I mean by that. I don't need to go any further. But like when these like old thrash bands that you've just known for so many years that are just being relevant with the times, I guess. When it's just keeping it real goes wrong again in this moment. But yeah, Exodus dropping new music is what was new and interesting for me as of recent.
Nice.
And what about you?
Friends of the podcast, Cognitive, they released a playthrough video of their song Arterial Red. Now, I'm like a fucking gear whore, like I'm a fucking gear junkie, nerd, whatever. And I like the same way with like playthrough videos. Like if I could sit there, like I'll sit there and search through hundreds of videos until I find something of like, for instance, like Zakk Wylde playing a solo, like one particular solo. Like I'll go through a bunch of videos until I find one where it like is like the right angle or whatever. So I mean, the playthrough videos aren't really a new thing, but as of like the past couple years, like playthrough videos have become like more and more popular, and I love them. I can't get enough of them. I mean, granted, like I'm never going to sit there and learn a cognitive song, first off, because I don't really have the abilities to do so, and nor do I have the time to learn anything really. So I don't know. I just like watching playthrough videos. I think they're cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a cool thing too, because I mean, obviously, the relationship we have with that band in general, and even though fucking Harry decided to just totally ghost me for some odd reason. Harry, if you ever listen to this, Spider hasn't forgotten. But yeah, I mean, like that is a very cool opportunity with, and I think that's another thing, like when you have like the behind the music and all those different things, like it's an opportunity more to get more in depth look of like artists that don't have the grandest of stages.
Yes.
Like you can almost do it on your own time. You can do it with like a limited budget. You can do it just, in your own personal space. It's just, yeah, so I agree. I think that shit's really cool.
Yeah, like you're not going to sit there and like search YouTube and find like a pro shot cognitive.
But that's the thing with great
thing,
like even doing this podcast, like the technology that's available to the regular everyday people, you can produce as long as you just take a little bit of effort to know what you're investing in and a little bit of money. Like you can produce solid quality without needing 100%. Like the backing of a fucking record company or anything of that nature.
That's very true.
It's awesome.
But yeah,
benefits of our society currently.
It's one of the benefits of technology. I mean, think about it like, I don't know, 10 years ago. Okay. 2011.
Yep.
We all had smartphones, kind of. I mean, they weren't close to as smart as they are now.
Yep.
But there was the ability of recording stuff on computers and, being able to use GarageBand if you were lucky enough to own a Mac.
Yeah, and it was still the quality. Like it's even like video games, though, same thing. Like when GoldenEye came out on N64, I was like, the graphics are never going to get better. How could they outdo themselves with this one? Madden 2002 came out. This is phenomenal, And now it's like, even to this day, like people will find a reason to complain until you're like physically controlling a human being. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
But yeah, the technology today, because even talking about smartphones, like the best thing you could do on there was like drink virtual beer.
Yeah.
Play with a virtual lightsaber. You know what I mean? That was like fucking mind blowing.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, even just this production quality, like, dude, if you showed this to, like, I always like the thing, like, if you gave a pilgrim a hot Cheeto, they would probably die.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine this level of content back in like 1957?
Jesus Christ. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah, like the time
you'd be like the pinnacle.
Oh, yeah.
In the
you would
world.
own the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, CBS radio, they would just listen to fucking Bill and Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
they would just listen. They wouldn't even give a fuck about the content.
See, that would be the craziest fucking thing, because you would have these like multi-million-dollar companies.
Yeah.
But then you would have these two guys doing it out of their basement, and all these companies couldn't believe, how are they doing this?
They have to be stopped.
We would be hung. Like, we would be treated as like witches in like medieval times. Like, there's no... It was so fucking funny. They would not allow this to go on.
It'd be worth it.
Yeah. Will CBS hang us in the past life? Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Contact us at our social medias.
On this day in music history.
On this day in music history, September 6th, 2000... Or no. On this day in music history, September 6th, 1976. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis reunite after 20 years on Lewis's Labor Day telethon to benefit the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Frank Sinatra surprises Lewis by bringing out Martin. Could you imagine? Like, just watching that shit on live TV?
No.
Like, after 20... It's like, I don't know. Like, what band can we think of that reunited?
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Like, similar hype.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just as similar as that.
Yep.
Like, could you imagine? But having that on live TV, like, oh yeah, it's just Tom Morello. He's just doing something, whatever, blah blah blah.
To see Zach
and all of a sudden,
come
here's Zach De La Rocha.
Yeah, that would be fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, it is very cool, and that's the thing. I think that era of music too is very underlooked modernly.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting. Sometimes you will see like obvious recognition of it, but Frank Sinatra gets so much more credit than the rest of them. Like even like Sammy Davis. Like I mean, just so many individuals of that era that just like kind of fell into like the.
Well, it's like
because Frank Sinatra's just his name.
Well, Sinatra's like the Timberlake. Like, I mean, I hate to compare them, but
I know
it's like that. Like everyone knows who Justin Timberlake is. No one knows who those like JC Chavez. Like who the fuck is that?
I know
Joey Fatone.
I know.
Well, Joey
but
Fatone's
Dean
a little
Martin
different
and
though.
Fucking Sammy Davis. I mean, like, dude, that's still
it's A-lister names.
That's crazy. Damn shame.
That'd be like no one knowing like who who plays Captain America.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Very weird.
All we know is Robert Downey Jr.
Yep. Well, that's even like with the Spider-Man coming out.
Yeah.
We're about to get a taste of like Tobey Maguire era Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's
boy.
my Spider-Man. That's my Spider-Man, all right? You heard it here.
Hashtag that's my Spider-Man.
Hashtag that's my Spider-Man. 1987. At the Starwood Amphitheater in Nashville, Leonard Skinner reunite for a tour to mark the 10th anniversary of the plane crash that killed lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, among other individuals, especially recently established guitarist Stephen Gaines.
Yep.
Yeah, man, the documentary. Have you watched it yet?
Haven't had the chance
Okay,
yet.
highly recommend it just because like
If I leave here tomorrow.
it does give a great breakdown of just the formation of the band itself, like writings of like some of the most popular songs, their career history, and especially the plane crash. And with Steve Gaines, when he joined, I mean, dude, he was going to be like the sound that they were headed towards already was well established.
Mm-hmm.
But when they brought Steve Gaines on, they were going to like another level. Like he was just such a very talented musician. And the thing about it is, it was also sad. His sister was a backing singer for the band who also joined just randomly as a result of her brother getting into the band, and she was also on the plane and died as a result. And it's a very fucking sad story when you learn the timeline of how quickly, you know, he got into the band and then obviously suffered the fate from the plane crash. But I mean, Leonard Skinner, that's another one of those situations where I hate to say it, like sometimes accidents and things of that nature almost make that band that much more iconic because of the history of it.
Yeah.
You know, like the timeline of certain musicians that we love, like and their downfall and the demise and like the horrible circumstances. But I mean, even people that don't know about Leonard Skinner will like, oh, isn't that the band that died? Like they'll just think the whole band died, first of all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same exact time.
No surviving members.
Yeah, right. But nah, I love Leonard Skinner. This show is particularly, I remember, you know, YouTubing this show. It's a good show to watch. There's many good shows to watch. So, what happened in 1988, Bill?
Speaking of interesting, in 1988, New Kids on the Block released their breakout album, Hangin' Tough. That it did. The LP goes to number 1 in America and spawns 5 hit singles, including the chart-topping title track and the number 3 entry, You Got It, The Right Stuff.
How do you feel about New Kids on the Block?
I'm partial to the Weird Al cover. You know, you got the right stuff, the white stuff in the middle of an Oreo.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, well, here's the thing, dude. New Kids on the Block, I believe we said a couple weeks back, they weren't the originators of this style of music or the boy band thing, but they're the ones that brought it to the level that it was to become. Yeah. Exactly. Without New Kids on the Block, you wouldn't have the Backstreet Boys or the NSYNCs or the 98 Degrees, you name it. You wouldn't have them because of this. And, you know, you probably really wouldn't have the career of Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
You know,
probably.
I mean, I hate to put such an immense talent, you know, to the annals of boy bands, but you probably wouldn't have Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and you probably wouldn't have the actor known as Mark Wahlberg without the help of his brother Donnie.
An actor almost as iconic as, you know, you put him up there with the likes of like Daniel Day-Lewis, you know. It's he's quite the guy.
Kind of put him up there with like Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah. He's more of like a Woody Allen to me.
Woody Allen. Like, listen, dude, I'm not gonna hear and shit on fucking Mark Wahlberg by any means, but he kind of plays the same guy like
every time.
Like there was an SNL skit that I saw. It was Andy Samberg being Mark Wahlberg. So you a sheep? What's that like? Yeah. Say hi to your mother for me.
Yeah,
and it's like that is
shit. We need a middle-aged white dude to play this guy in Boston who's like kind of bad but not super bad, and he'll have a fucking
bad enough.
Yeah, he's got to be able to do a Boston accent.
Yeah, right.
God damn. 1 year later, in 1989, Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil, surprisingly, punches Guns N' Roses guitarist Izzy Stradlin in the face during the MTV Music Video Awards. I
don't know the context behind this one.
So neither do I, but it's funny because Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, because that whole thing with Guns N' Roses where, you know, they were talking shit on like Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain and they got in a fight. I mean, it's just Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses are just like those notoriously known acts of the 80s that are always involved in the most like petty drama.
Yeah.
Like if you like watch like Desperate Housewives and all that shit, you could probably like make a compilation of all the petty bullshit that Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses have been involved in.
Not for nothing, I think if I were to be on the receiving end of an ass whooping, I'd much rather get my ass kicked from Motley Crue than from Guns N' Roses.
Of
Because they
course.
seem like
Unless
Motley
it was
Crue
Steven
seems like
Adler.
Yeah.
Like if Steven Adler tried to fight me, that's probably the only acceptable individual that I would take from.
Well, I mean, like as far as it goes, like you think about it, Motley Crue comes up to whip your ass. What's the worst they're gonna do? Scratch you with their fucking press-on nails? Guns N' Roses shows up.
I don't
Chances
know, man.
are,
I don't trust Mick Mars. Like he seems like he's into some voodoo or some.
He's been
shit.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, I'd rather take a fucking voodoo fucking spell over Axl Rose, probably fucking wrapping a chain around his hand.
Yeah, he does fight like probably an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably got
I don't
fucking
trust
Duff McKagan like with his fucking broken beer bottle or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, you never know what's underneath the Slash's top hat either.
And Izzy Stradlin too, the fact that he seems like the least like
threatening.
Not even threatening, but like verbally vocal where he would like even cause some bullshit. You know what I mean?
Honestly, if you think about any of the members of Guns N' Roses, you never hear shit from him.
Yeah, Izzy Stradlin's
always
literally
Axl.
the one.
You always hear shit from Steven Adler. You
Duff.
always hear Duff. You always hear Slash.
That's what I'm saying. It's the weirdest thing. And
You
it's
never
Vince
hear
Neil.
him.
It's not like if Mick Mars and Izzy Stradlin got into it, that would be hilarious. That's like the two guys that don't get nearly enough attention due to the surrounding cast. And they're the ones fighting. You know what I mean? That would be like the opening fight to a UFC main event. Like people came here to see it, but we're waiting for like, maybe Axel and Vince.
Yeah.
Maybe fucking, Tommy and fucking
I mean,
Slash.
we're here for the prelims because,
Yeah, the prelims. Yeah,
I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yeah, Mick Mars. It should have been Mick Mars and Izzy Stradlin. I think this was a bad contracted fight, if you want to ask me.
I'm probably going to
They could have did better.
I'm probably going to name the episode that. Should Mick Mars fight Izzy Stradlin? People are going to catch that out of context. They're like, what?
Yeah, I know. Jesus Christ.
Moving here another year. 1990, Tom Fogerty, the rhythm guitarist for Creedence Clearwater Revival, dies from an AIDS-related tuberculosis infection in Scottsdale, Arizona at the age of 48. He contracted HIV from a blood transfusion.
Yeah, that's crazy. Especially like 1990. I mean, that was a big time for like the AIDS epidemic. Yeah, it was a very
Izzy died not far after that.
I know. Yeah, this was a major. Fucking Freddie Mercury died in 91. Yeah, same thing. So I actually didn't know that about Tom Fogerty, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I
had no
had no idea either until going over
blood
this.
Transfusions, man. Damn. Like and Freddie, like they probably like knew how they got it.
Well,
the Easy thing is
that's a little murky.
We're not gonna talk.
We're not
about
gonna get
that
conspiracies. Later on this season.
We're just not gonna dive into that.
However, Tom Fogerty,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
1997, Elton John sings a new version of "Candle in the Wind" at Princess Diana's funeral. This rendition, which replaces "Goodbye Norma Jean" with "Goodbye England's Rose," becomes the best-selling single of all time in the UK.
Huh.
Wow. Fucking wow. That's probably why he was knighted.
I'm partial to 5,000 Candles in the Wind, those of Parks and Recreation. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Oh, no?
Not familiar.
Oh, my God. I got something to show you.
Okay. But speaking of live renditions.
Yes.
Speaking
Funny you should bring this up.
Live music in the sense of Leonard Skinner as well. This is all coincidental.
And Dean Martin.
So yeah, last week we had stumbled upon quickly about Nirvana's live at the Paramount, specifically by live at the Reading Festival.
Yep.
And it had me thinking of, we had kind of talked briefly about the importance of live music. Now, coincidentally enough, we live in a world where, honestly, at never in my lifetime did I think there was ever going to be a circumstance where live music was going to be on total hold.
Yes.
We just went through a whole year, now with concerts coming back, but we went through a whole year where concerts of the size that host major artists were basically non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
And it was strange. If you're not into live music, if your thing's sports, if your thing's, just casual, doings or whatever, live music for those who are major fans of it felt that, know, because me and you even particularly, we watched a live stream show, and you'll bring that up in a bit, but live music is just coming back. So I thought what we could say is we could discuss some of the facts of YouTube is a very good place to watch shows that A, we weren't alive for, B, that just haven't been around. Like we weren't able to attend, or they were, in some other country, and it was something that, bands sometimes don't tour locally and don't have the luxury. And also think we could talk about some of the shows we've seen personally, where I think that's the healthy reminder is like the importance of live music, but more so with music coming back, specifically September 15th. Lamb of God's coming around, again with Megadeth, when they were supposed to do that show we booked back in 2020, and it got canceled due to COVID, so it's great to see that coming around. But I thought we would narrow it in. We talk about 4 live shows that we love that we did not attend, but we love to stream.
Okay.
And then talk about some of our favorite concert experiences.
All right. Well, let's see here. My first is the Mitch Lucker Memorial Show. The ending is the beginning. I showed you in the beginning, well, right before we started filming and recording. For those of you that don't know, Suicide Silence frontman Mitch Lucker died in a motorcycle accident in October 2013, I think. 2013. We'll go with 2013. Very soon after...
I'll fact check.
Yeah, please. Very soon after, Suicide Silence decided to do a memorial show to obviously memorialize their newly departed singer or, vocalist, and, provide to their, to his daughter's college fund. And, so they just had a revolving cast of different vocalists and various band members that were in the band prior. Let's see, this just in, November 1st, 2012. All right,
Can we get like a boo track in the background?
Boo.
We should start doing that. Every time we do a fact, we'll have a quick fact check, because I fuck up a lot. I think I said "Tell Me Why" for the Backstreet Boys. Yeah, so we can have like a boo track for certain moments. Because bottom line here at Rage Against Mainstream,
We're not perfect.
We're not perfect. And a lot of this is coming off memory. So if anything, appreciate the facts that we do know. Like Freddie Mercury dying in 1991. I knew that immediately.
See, I knew that it was at the end of October. The motorcycle accident happened on Halloween.
Did I write November 1st?
I didn't want to say that.
I feel like the fish from SpongeBob. You should add that track. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Boo, you stink. Yeah, that's holy fuck. I just had... I just had a fucking stroke here on live recording. Sorry about that.
This is the best part about doing this shit on video, because if this wasn't on video, no one would have known.
Nobody would have known. First. Okay.
But anyways, I knew that he died. Yep. I knew that the motorcycle accident happened on Halloween.
We're going to move on from this in general.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the show now. What we came here to do.
The show, had a revolving cast of lead singers and different members of the band that used to be there, and throughout all of its iterations. And there's a couple notable moments of the show. One is when you get Randy from Lamb of God coming out to do "You Only Live Once," which was incredible.
Yeah, he makes that song 1,000, because you know how I feel about Suicide Silence to begin with. Don't get me wrong, like it's one of those moments where I can respect the talent. It's just not my brand.
Exactly.
But seeing Randy, like that's one of the most interesting things about the genre of music we're talking on, particular, which is just metal and its subgenres. Mm-hmm. And you have an artist like Randy Blythe that can come immediately into a song and like make it his own.
Yeah.
Like watching that live performance of it actually made me like that song, just because A, I like Lamb of God.
Yeah.
And B, just the whole like vibe that Randy brings, in a sense, like made that show really like, he's a frontman of frontmen. Like there's a whole level where you can go out there and just be brutal for some reason, but Randy just has like a level of energy. He makes you like want to be at the concert.
Randy's like another one of those dudes where I probably wouldn't want to meet in like a back alley somewhere.
Honestly, dude, like his interviews, he'd probably like, teach you about fucking politics or something.
Yeah, but I'm talking Randy back like 2007, when he was on the bottle.
It depends. He might like fucking share a beer with you. I wouldn't step on his shoe or something.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. That's.
Speaking of loose cannons, The show also featured, well, honestly, I think it's one of the better vocal performances of the whole show. But you have Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying, pre-prison. So he's all super
post-steroids.
Yeah, post-steroids. He's all fucking roided up and shit, fucking doing Wake Up, which I thought was incredible. But it was funny because we were joking about it.
We at Rage Against the Mainstream have no actual evidence of these steroids and are nothing more than opinions and not allegations.
Can't argue with facts or police statements.
Like 99% accurate.
Yeah, I'm 99%
I'm talking about his
sure.
steroids. It's just, we don't know. But he definitely is.
But we were joking about, like, you know, like, what about if he messed up? He, like, went behind stage and was, like, freaking the fuck out.
His fucking head in the
you know
wall.
what I thought about? Perfect fucking scene in The Longest Yard.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
When
yeah.
he goes in, like, literally.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, isn't it fucking Goldberg?
No, it's The Great Khali.
Oh, okay. No, I was thinking of the one scene where Goldberg's like coming out and he's like trying to intimidate him. He just slams his head into a locker. He's like, "This is coming for you." And like, they're just like, why would you even do that?
No, I'm talking about when he goes into
I know what you mean. He gets all
maximum
pissed
security.
off.
He's like
Yeah,
fucking smashing his head into the wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
People told me and you look alike. That was
When they're
literally
playing
Tim
ping pong and he
Lambesis
takes
after.
the table down. Don't eat me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tim.
Don't kill me.
And this is also before he took out a contract for certain nefarious activities,
Which we covered earlier on in the show's history back in season 1, when you should be able to separate artists from their actions.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can, it's totally up to your discretion. However, this is a pretty good live performance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like I said, that scene of music in particular is not my brand. But As I Lay Dying does have several tracks that I like. Same thing with Parkway Drive. I put them in the same category where certain songs would be just too much for me in the sense of like that real core genre, and then other songs like I can really hear the talent and like the musicianship of like what they were trying to do in developing that genre.
Absolutely.
You know, but yeah, that performance, specifically the Randy Blythe, but everything about that, and even what's his face from Machine Head.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everything about that is just it's one of those moments, man. Like there's some shows you can't be a part of, but like the fact that we have that luxury to just go back and, especially with the technology, and see a good version of it.
Oh yeah.
Shit, man. Remember like watching shows recorded off like an LG chocolate? like that was still a good time for the moment, but it's like all pixelated. You could like kind of hear. Yeah, and your friends like showing it to you, and you're just sitting there like this, like, wow, man, this is really cool, and you're just like, turn it off.
Like you're sitting there, it's like you're like listening to something, just like.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like some dude in the background, like, this show's really good, man. Yeah, exactly. Holy shit, he's bleeding. But yeah, one of the shows, especially because I like, you know, the ability with some of these like earlier shows and concerts, especially of like extreme level of notoriety, that have the ability to go back and look at. And one of the first ones I'm going to mention is the 1985 performance by Queen at Live Aid. I think the entire Live Aid concert's very good. One of those is like, I go back if I want to like show someone Dire Straits. Dire Straits puts on a great performance at that concert. But the Queen performance, especially with the Bohemian Rhapsody story behind it from the movie, that gives to the newer fans of like what was actually going on with Queen at that time. For them to go out and do what they did at that show, and at the level of, you know, like the crowd they were in front of, they were in the middle of like an absolute turmoil. There was like barely any practice before it. They got on the bill super late, which is why the set is so short, because they had to like literally fit them in.
Yeah.
But the Queen Live Aid performance, to me, one of those shows where it's just like that healthy reminder of, you know, you didn't grow up in that generation, but thank fucking God you have an opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you think about some of the things that were seen in a generation where the technology was not nearly as available, that all you could do is go on by word of mouth.
Yeah.
And nowadays we have that luxury where anybody can film anything at any given time to such a level of degree where you can show it to people, you can put it on the internet, and everybody can get a taste of it, even if they weren't there.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss in the way it works, because sometimes like I disagree with it, where it's like you should be in the moment. You should be appreciating it, you know, not being on your phone, just being there for the fact that you're going to share it with other people. Like,
being there in the moment.
Exactly. Like you're there to appreciate it. You're not necessarily, you shouldn't be there just to show off to other people.
Exactly.
But at the same time, Luckily, you do have people that are more concerned about getting that out to the internet. So then that way I have opportunities to see what you saw that I wish I could have saw in person.
Well, if you didn't put it on Facebook, it didn't happen.
Apparently. But yeah, the Queen Live Aid performance in 1985, dude, is absolutely like, if you're going to watch anything by Queen live, 100% that's it.
Nice.
100%.
Here's a little red letter date here in music concert history. August 27th, 2015. You may not remember what you did that day, but I remember what I did that day. That's all Van Halen.
I'm pretty sure I came over here one day and you were watching a YouTube video of that concert specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, from watching various shows from this tour, which was, the last Van Halen tour, from the videos that I saw, August 27th, 2015 was the best Van Halen show on that tour that I've seen. And this is like where the situation comes into where I don't watch it necessarily because it was like a super stellar performance or because it was amazing. It's because I was there.
Yeah.
And watching it, it brings back those feelings of when I was sitting there and they fucking started the show and it was my wife looked over and I was crying flat out. I'm not going to fucking deny it. I was bawling my fucking eyes out. And she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "You don't understand." It was just one of those things. It was just amazing. And to kind of relive that on YouTube is just amazing.
100%.
And plus, there was super funny parts in that show where the David Lee Roth's in-ear monitors, his vocals weren't turned up enough. So he's screaming in the beginning of the show, and he's like, "If I don't fix this," he stops in the middle of Romeo Delight. He stops the song. He's like, hold on guys, I got to get this fixed. My voice is gonna blow out if I don't fix this. And I'm like, all right, well, thank God. This is gonna get he's gonna sound better after this. And he said something. He's like, "You guys deserve the best. We're not here to fuck around." And I'm like, fucking A, here we go. I knew what to expect from David Lee Roth in 2015, but I'm like, all right, maybe there was something wrong with his in-ears and he's going to sound better. It literally didn't change. I'll show you the video later. You're going to laugh your fucking ass off because it literally didn't change.
Jesus Christ.
So then throughout the show, it just goes, as a normal show would. And
I can picture you deep down inside. You're like, damn, I wish Sammy was here.
That's literally what I did. I was
Damn.
like, fuck. No, actually, you know what I thought the whole time? And I said it to Nicole. I was like, they should have got Michael Starr from Steel Panther to sing on this tour because it would have been amazing.
I mean, you were basically there to see the band regardless of who the singer was.
Yeah,
So
I didn't give a fuck who the singer was.
Yeah, I probably would have wanted it over anyway.
But if it was Michael Starr from Steel Panther, at least you'd be guaranteed to hear something that sounded similar to the songs you know and love. And they would probably be tuned up.
Could you imagine if they told that? Because David Lee Roth obviously was back in the band. Listen, David,
we can't do it.
Yeah.
But so the show goes on and, Eddie and Wolfgang are doing the harmonies and it sounds like classic Van Halen harmonies. And when they're all supposed to be all three of them supposed to be singing together, they just make David sound like an asshole because he's singing off key or off time.
And they're in the perfect harmony from what you expect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at one point during the show, someone throws a beer at David Lee Roth, from the pit.
That's great.
Throws a beer at him. Stops the song again.
That's great.
He stops Dirty Movies. And then he's like, at one point in my career, the most fucked up thing I probably could have done to this guy was sleep with his girlfriend. He's like, but in this point in my career, the most wicked thing I could ever say to this guy is that I probably already have slept with his wife. And he's like, save the beer for me next time, slut. And I was like, what?
Pretty good.
It was cool. It was
for an old fucking burnout David Lee, that's pretty good for him.
And the way that the way it happened, it was like it was almost like it was rehearsed.
Yeah.
At this point in the set, you're going to throw a beer and I'm going to freak the fuck out.
I wonder if David Lee Roth had this all planned out beforehand. If this happens, this is what I'm going to say.
Well,
if this happens, this is what I'm going to say. Because that's pretty good.
Dude, if you have never listened to an interview that David Lee Roth has ever done, I would suggest doing it. Not even for the Van Halen factor of it. Actually, as a matter of fact, recently he was just on with Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. And every time he goes on Joe Rogan's show, he does a 3-hour long show. Just to hear him talk, it's just it's the ramblings of a crazy person.
Great.
He's always just he no matter what you say, he's got another thing coming. He's got 50,000 responses to one question, and they're all crazy.
That's great.
but he's not like fucking like Tom DeLonge's UFO crazy. He's like fucking.
Tom DeLonge was.
He wasn't wrong.
He was onto something. Mindful of that.
Yeah, he was definitely onto something. But yeah, so Van Halen live August 27th, 2015, Camden, New Jersey. Actually, I have to do is just type in Van Halen August 27th, 2015. You'd be in for a treat. So
coincidental to that, growing up, I mean, there was the big thing in Cooper River with like 1029 Let Freedom Rock Fest with like I saw Bad Company there, you know, Foreigner, Foghat, Steve Miller Band, lot of good artists. However, one of the first like shows that I went to, which in an experience in itself, and also because of the particular tour that they were on, was one of my most memorable, was the Somewhere Back in Time tour by Iron Maiden in 2009. And that stretched for a year. So the first show I went to was weird. I was planning to go see it with all of my friends. At that point, I think it was a Susquehanna Bank Center.
Okay.
Post-Tweeter, before BB&T. I want to say Susquehanna Bank Center. But coincidentally enough, I was a junior in high school.
It was definitely Susquehanna.
Yes. Okay. So 2009. My uncle, randomly out of nowhere, I was getting done junior year. It was that summer, invited me to go. Now, at this point, I didn't know shit about my family in terms of music. Like, if there was anybody that really gave a fuck. Little did I know that my uncle was a diehard Pearl Jam fan and saw him like anytime they ever came within 50 miles of his place. So he knew about Iron Maiden coming around, and I guess at this point, like, my personality really started to develop, and he started to realize, like, cool, there's another person in here that's into some good music, because he's been going to these shows like alone, you know, for a long time, and, you know, some friends, whatever. But he out of nowhere was like, guess what? Getting a ticket, going to see Iron Maiden, Madison Square Garden. I'm like, okay. And coincidentally enough, the train that we got, I still have the ticket stub for it. The train number was 666. The train that we took from Philadelphia to New York.
That's cool.
And we get there, and now this is the coolest part, because at this point I'm smoking, I'm doing drugs, I'm drinking, I'm doing shit in high school that I'm trying to like my parents know, but my uncle was cool as shit, man. Like, he took me to a bodega spot. Packs of cigarettes out there were like fucking $11 even at that point in time. Bought me a pack of cigarettes. I was like 17 years old. You know, we had beers together and shit. And dude, I was in Madison Square Garden for the first time in my life. And the tour that Iron Maiden was on, they didn't do an album release. So they literally played shit from Killers, the self-titled, Number of the Beast, Somewhere in Time, fucking Peace of Mind, Power Slave. Like, they played all older shit. There wasn't a single song on there that was probably newer than, I want to say, like Seventh Son is Seventh Son. And if there was, it was like intermittent. Like, it was just, you know, some songs that were relevant at the time. But dude, it was just such a fucking awesome tour, because this is with even Iron Maiden playing, like, gonna be playing shows with this new album coming out. And this is why I've said it before, regardless of the music that comes out, it kind of sucks, because you're gonna be, majority of the set list is gonna be soaked up to those songs.
Yeah.
But dude, Iron Maiden next to Gwar. I think Gwar was one of my most fun shows that I've ever been to. I was at the Electric Factory.
Well, you can't not have fun with Gwar.
Yeah, that was one of my most fun shows. But seeing Iron Maiden live, this is where Bruce Dickinson Maiden that I can't just totally give up on it, because seeing them live is just it's so theatrical.
Yeah.
The music's good. And like, regardless of where you were in Madison Square Garden, it's one of the best laid out venues that I've ever been to. It's such a fucking good experience, man. And I'm telling you, man, like, Iron Maiden comes around, 100% have to see them. 100%.
Well, hopefully, obviously this thing is recorded way in advance. Hopefully Jake Paul does fairly well at Madison Square Garden. By the time that this episode releases, it's going to be weeks.
Yeah.
Or not, a week after.
Give it, yeah.
But, yeah. I've always thought Madison Square Garden was like probably like I've always assumed it was like the venue. Like, if you play Madison Square Garden, you made it.
And it should be.
Yeah.
But then you have situations like that you just discussed that really take away from the level of, you know, quality that should be only allowed into that building. But speaking of that, even too, when I saw the Misfits in 2019 at the Wells Fargo Center, Glenn Danzig made a very big point, because they had just played the Halloween set at Madison Square Garden and they sold it out. So Danzig, obviously, now this was in December, me seeing them in Philadelphia, which was probably the best you could have ever expected out of current Misfits, and it was great because they sounded just like their albums. Like the first time I saw him, I think Danzig was trying to do a little too much, and he got winded, and it was kind of like he was like huffing and puffing through certain songs. It felt kind of bad, but the second time was great, and he made a very important point because of how low budget the Misfits were basically their entire career, how lack of marketing through big corporations, radio and shit like that, and strictly by a cult following. He was so proud to be able to say, like, we sold out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Like, fuck how long it took, doesn't matter. Like, a band, like, basically, like, how we're trying to do this podcast on self-marketing and just hope for exposure and a cult following.
Yeah.
Able to sell out Madison Square Garden. But then I hate to put that in the same perspective as the individual you just mentioned that's able to do it because strictly basing his whole personality off of being the biggest douchebag possible. It's crazy. Like, that's the way modern times have
changed. Not gonna lie, I hope he gets his ass kicked.
Well, we know the outcome of it, but we won't share it here.
How? How do you know the outcome?
Because it happened over a week ago.
Oh, yeah. Please.
What day are you living in, Bill?
I'm living in the day of tomorrow year.
I feel like the Twilight Zone music. Right How do you know the answer? A little spinny fucking.
Let's see here. Another good Van Halen show.
There we go.
Van Halen at the US Festival 1983. They headlined US Festival that year out in California, and this is obviously 83. This is before 1984 came out, and like it was still like at that point in time they were the biggest shit around, and they haven't even released their biggest album yet.
Yeah,
and like just the song choices they played, like the raw energy the band had, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And actually, you can kind of tell right there where David Lee Roth kind of was starting to lose it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you can
He was never a good live guy.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, I think but that's the thing about Van Halen. It's like they weren't so surrounded by David Lee Roth to be that front man.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew when you were going to see Van Halen, just the fucking talents of Eddie Van Halen himself was enough to bring in a fucking crowd.
Exactly.
Like most bands you're going to see live, it's usually that front man is going to be the make or break point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you're going to go see Led Zeppelin for Robert Plant. You're not going there even strictly for Jimmy Page.
Not even, yeah, exactly. Not strictly for it. But that's the benefit with like Van Halen. Like some people are probably going there for David Lee Roth.
Mm-hmm.
But Eddie Van Halen is, if he's not up to par, like that's going to ruin the whole band.
Exactly. It's going to ruin the show.
And even David Lee Roth being all fucked up, Van Halen, you're still like gonna like, all right, like you said, you still had a good time regardless of like what you wish the vocal abilities were. Now, if Eddie was all fucked,
that would have been a different story.
Yeah, and David Lee Roth could have been vocal prime.
Sorry for the people that were that had bought tickets for the 2004 Van Halen tour. I've watched those videos as well.
Oh God.
That was when Eddie was like seriously like bad, like on the bottle, on a lot. He was on a lot of bottles.
I feel bad for anybody who's bought a Motley Crue ticket since like 2000.
Ooh, man,
Jesus Christ!
Oh my God.
Speaking of that,
but another live show I wanted to bring up is one that me and you have in common: Lamb of God 20th anniversary of Ash of the Wake live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I might say it might be one of my favorite concert experiences.
Honestly, this is what's really cool. And again, going back to live music, because it's the same thing with like new albums by a band I like. You don't know what's coming yet. It's fresh. It's exciting. Like you can go and listen to the same songs. You can go listen to remasters. But when you have a band that you really like that's coming out with new music, it's like that first time to hear something that you haven't heard by something you already enjoy.
Yes.
In that Lamb of God live stream, it was like there was no opportunity to hear live versions of every single song from that album. Like Blood of the Scribe, like all those songs that like Lamb of God used to post all the time, like coming to BB&T, what song do you want to hear? And like I would type in Blood of the Scribe all the time, and like people, I would get like mad likes and comments like, "Yo, that'd be like holy shit, why the fuck? Like why don't they play this song?" And like never would get a response. Of course, obviously, like hey, let's post a thing on social media, not respond to anybody. Real fucking cool, Lamb of God. Like go figure out how that's gonna work. But I knew like going into it because Ashes is such an iconic album to me in terms of like that immediate gap between metalcore and like traditional death metal and thrash and everything is in there.
Yep.
And yeah, to see that live, Art Cruz, like that was the only thing I was concerned about. And we both said the same thing. Hopefully, like after he plays all these songs, he's like, holy shit. Like this is a real cool way to fucking drum because he fucking hit it, dude.
Yeah,
he
was
brought his
good.
fucking chops, man.
And like it sucks because we weren't able to see it live.
Yeah.
Then again, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done that live.
No.
Like if you were to buy
they
tickets
wouldn't
for
have,
that.
they wouldn't. Yeah.
But it was like it was cool for the fact that we put up the fucking blow up projector screen in the backyard and fucking basically watched a live show
very cool.
In the backyard of my house. Like it was just like I'm not gonna lie, like I wish there was like some instances to where I could watch a show this way.
Yeah.
Like just invite a bunch of people over and like we're just gonna watch a show.
Yeah.
And
I think more and more like that's again because the availability of being able to travel in certain circumstances, like the more and more they should be able to elaborate on how they can produce a live stream of a show that's currently like even with the Lamb of God show that's coming with Megadeth. Because think about that, like you got a bunch of friends that can't go, but we'll pay the ticket price and sit in the fucking backyard, drink, fucking do our own shit, and be able to see what we could have saw.
Exactly.
And speaking of shows that we have in common too, like this is another moment because I remember you were a fan of Amon Amarth.
Yes.
And I saw Slayer on their first farewell tour, and then I saw them on the second farewell tour. One of those first farewell tours, I was able to see Behemoth for the very first time live, and it was fucking great.
I can imagine.
Yeah, on that bill was Anthrax, who I'd seen several times, which was great. Testament was on that bill, that first one, fucking awesome. Lamb of God was there again at this point. It was like the fourth time seeing them, and it was awesome. But I got to see Behemoth for the first time, and it was great. And it was another moment of like when I heard certain songs, I had to go back, look up the track listing of what I heard, and go find those songs because I just remember how they stood out.
Yeah.
So the second time we saw them, you were there, and Amon Amarth played. I hadn't seen Amon Amarth since the Trocadero in like 2006, man. Like it was a long fucking time.
Oh shit, that was a while.
Yeah, so like one of those moments where obviously in that point in my life, I was probably on several substances that probably created a black hole in my memory because I couldn't honestly tell you what it was like to see, Amon Amarth at that point.
Yeah.
So seeing them again, and I remember you immediately said it afterwards, like seeing them live, like just gave you a whole new, like respect for that band.
Like I've always loved them, dude, but seeing them
they
live
put on a
was
fucking
like a different
show, man.
It was an experience,
Dude, honestly, that was probably my favorite part of that concert. And it sucks because usually when a band plays earlier, you start to lose more of what the focus was because you're seeing more. And like seeing Lamb of God now for like the fifth time at that point, I knew what to expect. Slayer, I had just recently seen, knew what to expect, and they provided good. But Amon Amarth, seeing them like that, it's just like honestly, like when I see Amon Amarth live, like I want to go get a fucking sword and shield and fight something. I don't know what it is. I just want to get out there for Odin's sake. I don't know.
Actually, if you search up Amon Amarth, Camden, New Jersey,
yep,
you can see me walking into the.
You can also see a really cool fucking crowded setup of a Viking rowboat in the pit section of the lawn, and I was standing roughly 30 feet to the left of the guy videotaping that, and I remember even specifically telling Becky, wow, that's pretty cool, we should join, and I never did for some reason. And then it made it on YouTube. And
and then it became a viral thing.
I was like, fuck.
I think it
it
even made it to Loudwire, I think,
yeah.
too. It made it everywhere.
I know. And I was looking at it the whole time. Like froze.
Meanwhile, they're like, those are the real fans out there. And you're just like...
Yo, this is why I couldn't play sports. Because if there was like 3 seconds left and it's up to me to hit that buzzer beater, I'm just diarrheaing and just like I forget like all my fucking hand-eye coordination and motor skills and my gone. You know what I mean? Because like the moment I saw that robot, I was so like, wow, that's really cool.
You go full goof.
I don't know. You full goof. I was full Simple Jack. I went total Simple Jack on that moment.
You never go full retard.
Yeah. Yeah, simple. I was Simple Jack in that moment.
That's fun.
But the last one, I mentioned the Paramount show. I just want to mention one last one because my recommendation is actually going to be a live album that I was going to recommend a while back and I never did. But the Doors Live Isle of Wight Festival in 1970 was one, but Woodstock 99 I think Woodstock 99, because I just want to break this down for like the people that, you're aware of it, but just like the lineup order, which is it's like the most hilarious thing. And especially for our generation of musicians that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Seeing on the same stage, James Brown live, Sheryl Crow, DMX, The Offspring, Korn, and Bush.
Kid Rock.
Yeah. All on one stage. And then you see, July 24th on the same stage, fucking the Chemical Brothers, Mickey Hart and Planet Drop, Ice Cube, Everclear, and then the last stage with Kid Rock, Wyclef Jean, Counting Crows, Dave Matthews Band, Alanis Morissette, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, Metallica. And it's funny because the cool thing about the Woodstock shows is that you can just YouTube specific sets.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you right now, DMX's performance and Alanis Morissette's performances, I go back to on a regular basis because you don't have many great live recordings of full sets in like that setting.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're just like hyped to listen to fucking Alanis Morissette. Like it's fucking good. And DMX, obviously. But it was crazy because you could have a band like Metallica be at the same crowd for a crowd of DMX. Like that era of music was so well blended and not much division that you could listen to Rage and fucking live in the same day.
Yeah.
You could listen to Wyclef Jean and Kid Rock in the same day. It was crazy to like see the lineups like in 99 of like, wow, like that was like our era of music.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the most, like it's not my favorite live show, but it's just one of those ones that
it's just cool.
You can pick so many different artists to listen to out of there. Cause even particularly like the Metallica set, it's not my favorite. We know what the favorite is.
10 years prior.
10 years prior.
Well, actually, staying on Woodstock 99, I remember I was like, I don't know why. I was just like looking up like live Kid Rock. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But then I came across Ball with it because that's what he opened with.
Yeah.
And in that song, the regular lyrics are like, and for all my homies in the county in cell block 6, he changes it to, if you don't like Kid Rock, you can suck my dick. And I remember like hearing that and be like, whoa,
he's fucking tough as hell.
That was tough. That was fucking tight right there. Yeah, if you don't like Kid Rock, you suck his dick. That's right. But yeah.
All the people that don't like Kid Rock are just. Yeah.
10 years prior
10
to
years.
Woodstock 99 might be
on the opposite side of the country.
Yeah. Might be one of the best concerts.
We harp on this show
date.
all the time. But it's I listen to a lot of live music. I watch a lot of live shows, and there's for the production of it, for the transitions that are done throughout, the sound quality and the performance in itself.
And just the era.
And the era. The embodiment of this show is like pinnacle live music of its genre.
Actually, you know what? We're not even going to say their name.
We're not even going to say it.
Just in case like they weren't listening like a minute
prior. We're going to
speak
on this in all subtleties.
We're going to try to be as vague as humanly possible. But at the other side of the country in 1989, a particular artist performed a show at a venue shortly after a member had passed away and a new album was right there. A couple years prior to a major movement in that particular area they played in.
Yes.
2 years also prior to an album that would blow them up into beyond mega proportions.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of like other ways we can like explain like where it was and what band it is without
with
saying.
An artist that is still very upset due to the production quality of said album that was released.
That they were touring on. There we go.
Yes.
In a place that always rains.
Always rains.
About a place 60 miles north of where the fuck's Nirvana from? Because they're not from Seattle.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen. Yeah, about 60 miles north of Aberdeen or so. I mean, those of you that are in, that part of the country, you know where I'm talking about.
But yeah, that show in particular, man, is just an absolute embodiment of. I mean, because again, that band in particular, not everyone's going to be a fan of.
Exactly.
That genre of music, not everyone's going to be a fan of. However, if you're even remotely close to it, if you can't appreciate that show, there's got to be an issue. Because
I remember watching on VHS.
It's fucking like it's the same thing when I had mentioned like Live at Paramount by Nirvana. It's the way it's shot, the way it's produced, and for the time that it was done, to be able to show that to anybody, blasting that dude. Like I remember just being at like house parties and just you're just like fucked up and like the night's getting sour and you just put that on and just turn it up all the way and like to visually see it with the sound that's coming from it, it gives you a whole second wind.
Super pro shot.
So much. Yeah. The whole, the song off of the first album, where they're looking for something to kill. There's a stoppage moment in there, you know, and the singer does stuff with a beer and a watch and like just the whole hype of the song in particular.
Oh,
yeah. Like that, like just the way that they were at that part of their career.
They were fucking super badasses at that point in time. Like there was no denying.
Because not only were they upper echelon, like notable stars in the music industry, but they were still early days representatives of fuck hair metal, and you know what I mean?
They didn't quite cut their hair yet.
Yeah, they weren't there yet. Another hint.
Yeah.
If you haven't figured it out.
Friends don't let friends get friends haircuts.
Yes. Friends don't like friends get friends haircuts?
Yeah.
Wait. Friends don't let friends get friends haircuts?
Yes. As like a reference to the show Friends.
Oh, yes.
So like,
okay, so that was okay.
So I wouldn't let you get a haircut like David Schwimmer.
Yeah. I wouldn't get a haircut like any individual off that show. Ever. Never. So yeah,
that particular show, it's just
we don't need to talk about it.
It's undeniable.
We don't need to talk about it.
You know. Actually, I'm pretty sure if you just type in, you know, we can give the city away. If you just type in Seattle 89,
probably be the first thing that pops up.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. We shouldn't even have to go that far. No. They haven't figured it out. Let's move on. Yeah. But yeah.
So what do you think? I always like sometimes
just a shout out though to everybody in the area. September 15th, BB&T Arena, Lamb of God, Megadeth, Trivium. Pissed off though because Hatebreed replaced In Flames.
Yeah,
I haven't seen In Flames.
In Flames,
love to see.
I've seen In Flames. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're another live. Them and At the Gates, I go back and forth and like watch like live eras.
Oh yeah. So, what concerts have you been to that you think top any of the ones that we just talked about? Do you have any particular live footage that you like going to rewatch and relive like some of the best nights of your life?
And also, if you mention Woodstock 69, we didn't mention that on purpose because that's just an obvious.
Yeah.
So don't be like, oh, you didn't mention Woodstock.
And Woodstock 99 was better than 94. So don't even go there.
Yeah.
I mean, Metallica played then too, but
yeah.
James still had long hair, I think, in 94.
He did.
But it was like the mullet.
Yeah.
He had the mullet.
Yeah.
But if you have any shows that you wanted, you know, that you want us to shed light on, or shows that you think we should know about, you know, expand our musical knowledge. We don't know everything. We don't claim to know everything. We claim to know a lot, but we don't know everything.
Yeah.
Find us on our social media accounts. Facebook.com/RATM Podcast, Instagram and Twitter @RATM Podcast, or you can send us links and videos and write us letters to ratmpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. YouTube search Rage Against the Mainstream Podcast. That concludes the topic for this week. Let's get into our suggestions.
All right.
So
there was a live show that I didn't mention on purpose because I was just going to recommend it. Ironically enough, the reason why I didn't bring this up is because this is actually a live album that was recorded live but remastered and produced so heavily to a point where it was basically not live anymore.
Kiss Alive?
No. Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous, 1978. Great album. arguably, hands down, probably my favorite Thin Lizzy album overall, just because it's a compilation mixed with just a very good.
It's a greatest hits.
It's a great album. So Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous. The song I'm going to recommend is Emerald.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy's one of those bands that like never gets talked about often.
They're like so
not even on our show,
they're
just
like
in general.
Borderline like A-list, but they run so under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll know them, but they're not Bad Company. They're not
exactly.
You know what I mean? And Phil Lynott, man, like he has his own statue in Ireland, which is really cool. You know, because when he passed away, because he's Black Irish, so they got a whole statue out there for him. But yeah, Phil Lynott, hell of a bassist, hell of a front man, hell of a vocalist.
They were just such a good band.
Very good.
Speaking of good bands, my suggestion for you this week is to check out the 1993 album by Carcass, Heartwork, the song Buried Dreams. I can remember hearing this song for the first time, and this is the song that got me into Carcass.
Yes.
And just that it's just such a badass riff. It's just fucking nasty.
I'm more of a necroticism fan, but Heartwork is the black album of Carcass. Like it's the one where it's so good. It's like their best album in terms of like polished, what they're going to sound like for the duration of their career going forward, what they're headed towards. But before it totally fell off the rails. Because Swan Song for me was a little bit of a turnoff. The stuff that they've been going out with recently, like Surgical Steel, the EP they had, and their newer album come out. But Heartwork, man, is just very good album.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's one of those, you know what's funny too? Like Heartwork is one of those albums to where like, even if you're not super into death metal or anything like that, it's one of those like bridge albums. You know what I mean?
If I was, because I usually go the route, like I'll get someone in like punk, I'll get them in a thrash, and then I'll start to show them like, Sepultura and like get them in that way. And like, Carcass is very tasteful in a sense. Like it's, some of it's a little overkill, like especially their earlier stuff, like Reek of Putrefaction and shit like that. But yeah, Heartwork is a great place to like start.
Heartwork is awesome.
Metal. Yeah. Very good.
But yeah, so you heard it here. Trying to think here. Is there anything we need to, anything? You have a truth tree moment? You got anything?
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. That's all I'm going to say.
So,
do you think the Eagles will finish 4-13 this year? Let us know. They expanded it to 17 games just so I can get one more game of disappointment in there. Exciting.
Follow us on our social media accounts, facebook.com/RATM Podcast, Instagram and Twitter @RATM Podcast, YouTube search Rage Against the Mainstream Podcast. And as always, you can get us on our email, ratmpodcast@gmail.com. But until then, this is another episode of Rage Against the Mainstream Podcast for the books. As always, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
Wow. Have a good night, guys. Thank you for listening.
Oh, you stink.